On September 11, 2001, the attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon were orchestrated by the Hensau family with the complicity of Britain and the United States, as a pretext for removing the liberty of people worldwide in exchange for security. They used the attacks to gain control of the few nations in the world who don't allow Hensau central banks, such as Afghanistan, which was attacked by U.S. forces less than 1 month afterward. Physics professor Stephen E. Jones of Brigham Young University published a paper in which he proves the World Trade Center buildings could only have been brought down in the manner they were by explosives. He received no coverage in the mainstream media, the Hensau-owned mainstream media, but the evidence can be seen online. It was revealed that, prior to the attack, millions of dollars of options on both American and United Airlines were traded by Hensau agents. Following the attack, anonymous letters containing anthrax were sent to various politicians and media executives. Like the 9/11 attack, this was immediately blamed on Al-Qaeda, until it was discovered that the anthrax contained within those letters is a specific type of weaponized anthrax made by a U.S. military laboratory. 2 years into an investigation of IPACS, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, the largest political lobbying group in the U.S. with over 65,000 members, possible role as a spy front for Israel, Larry Franklin, mid-level Pentagon analyst, was observed in 2004 by the FBI giving classified information to 2 officials of AIPAC who had been suspected of being Hensau spies. AIPAC hired lawyer Nathan Lewin to handle their legal defense, the same lawyer who defended suspected Hensau spy Stephen Bryan in 1978. Larry Franklin worked in the Pentagon Office of Special Plans run by Richard Perle. At the time, Perle, who was caught giving classified information to Israel back in 1970, was insisting that Iraq was crawling with weapons of mass destruction, calling for the U.S. invasion. There were no weapons of mass destruction, of course, and Perle has dumped the blame for the bad intelligence on George Tenet. With at least 2 suspected Hensau spies inside the office from which the lies that launched the war in Iraq originated, it appears that the people of the United States are victims of a colossal, deadly hoax. The leaking of the investigation of AIPAC to the media in August 29, 2004 gave advance warning to other spies working with Franklin. The damage to the FBI's investigation was completed when the U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft ordered the FBI to stop all arrests in the case. On July 7, 2005, the London Underground network was bombed. Israel's finance minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, was in London on the morning of the attacks. He was there to attend an economic conference in the hotel over the underground station where one of the blasts occurred, but stayed in his hotel room after he had been informed by Israeli intelligence officials attacks were expected. These and other terrorist attacks were blamed on Muslims to justify the continued war in the Middle East. The Hensau-owned news media bombarded the West with stories of atrocities committed by Muslim men against their women, and all of the bad guys in action movies were Muslim terrorists since the 1990s to make the people in audience land believe that Islam is a religion of evil and hate, turning the world against them. Popular opinion in the U.S. became nuke 'em all. Anyone who says anything about this is now automatically branded a conspiracy theorist, a negative term that puts a sane, reasonable person in the same category as those people who wear hats made of aluminum foil to keep the government from reading their thoughts. They are laughed at and then dismissed. That association is the work of the Hensaus, to discredit those who dare to question them. As the poet Baudelaire once said, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. Now there are only 5 nations left in the world without a Hensau-controlled central bank: Iran, North Korea, Sudan, Cuba, and Libya. Recent news implies that will soon change for all 5 countries in one way or another. George sat back in his chair, stunned. Roughly 4,000 miles away in Langley, Virginia, a man trying to grow a mustache hung up the phone at his desk, turned in his chair, and said to another, "Remember Guy Fawkes?" The other man, with longish hair, frowned, then opened his eyes wide. The first man nodded. "Yeah, Guy." The man with longish hair asked, "What about him?" Well, apparently he broke into old Rupert Hensow's office building and copied some files. You're kidding. Well, the first man shook his head. Well, what's he trying to do? Who's he working for? No idea. Yet. Whatever he's up to, he's in over his head. You think so? You don't? I don't know. You never know with Guy. That's true. Hensow's people just called me to ask who their thief could have been. I didn't tell them it was obviously Guy, but I'll have to tell him something. What you gonna do? The first man shrugged. Ask the director, I suppose. He'll definitely want us to go over there and apprehend him. Try to get that suit back, at least. I could do with a quick trip over there. Get out of here for a few days. Then it's settled. We have hard evidence that it's him, and we know exactly where he is. Who knows? We might run into him in a bar somewhere if he still drinks. The first man swiveled around in his chair and picked the phone back up, dialing the director's office.